Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first town hall of 2024. My name is Mark DeMeo. I'm the program director for Ascend 2.0, and I'd like to welcome you and also wish you a happy new year. Uh, we are recording our webinar today. We've got all our participants on mute, and also we will have a question and answer session at the end of the session, and we welcome your feedback and participation. Slide, please. Our agenda today, we're going to talk about BruinBuy Plus. I think as everyone is aware, we have launched BruinBuy Plus in early January, and we're real excited about that. And I know that it is up, running, and performing well. I know there's a lot of questions and some other information we want to share, so we'll talk about that today. We have an update on Bruin Finance, our Oracle implementation, which is we're going to be focused on in 2024, getting ourselves all ready to go. Talk about and get an update on research and its efforts associated with these, some upcoming engagement opportunities for all of you, and as I just mentioned, a Q&A as well. On behalf of our executive sponsors and our program owners, thank you. BruinBuy Plus and our release could not have been a success without all of you and all of your colleagues, whether it was participating in training or being a train the trainer or conducting reviews, being a subject matter expert, just engaging with us, asking lots of great questions, providing lots of feedback. We want to just say thank you so much for all of the great work and effort and support that you've given the Ascend 2.0 team over this past year in 2023, getting us to the successful launch of BruinBuy Plus. So we're real excited and looking forward to 2024, but really wanted to take a second to thank all of you on behalf of all of us on the program and our owners and our executive sponsors. I think we'll move right into it and let's talk through BruinBuy Plus. Good afternoon, OT.
Hey, Mark, thanks a lot. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Listen, I am excited and delighted to share that we have successfully launched BruinBuy Plus. We launched it on January 2nd of this year, and it's a very instrumental part of the strive that we're making towards an enterprise financial and technical transformation. The BruinBuy Plus platform will advance our procure-to-pay capabilities to amplify efficiency, visibility, and user-centered experiences. It's an Amazon-like experience with embedded communication tools, personalized dashboards, streamlined and automated purchasing instructions, and reduced cycle times are just few of the benefits that BruinBuy Plus is going to enable and will enable us moving forward. To reiterate, Mark, I want to just take this opportunity to extend our heartfelt gratitude for all of you, the dedicated teams, and you, the stakeholders, who have contributed to the success of this project as we continue on the digital campus journey. Next slide. So, following the launch of BruinBuy Plus, we've entered into a new phase of the program known as hypercare. Hypercare is a period of time where temporary structures and processes are in place to support the initial go-live of the system. In the case of BruinBuy Plus, hypercare refers to the period of time between release 1, which we're calling R1, and release 2, R2, and the approximately 6 weeks following the launch of R2. Based on the feedback and questions the hypercare team has collected since the system launched on January 2nd, there are 6 main operational changes that have been identified as critical to a smooth transition to a BruinBuy Plus system. The first change is related to the purchase orders that have been migrated from BruinBuy to BruinBuy Plus. Change orders cannot be made to purchase orders that have been migrated to from BruinBuy to BruinBuy Plus. A new PO must be requested and the old PO must be closed out. This applies to any modifications to POs, including outgoing subawards. Please be sure to request creation of a new PO as needed in a timely fashion. Please also note that the new PO request should reflect the difference between the migrated PO and the new PO amount. For example, if the migrated PO is $500 and you want to make a change order for an extra $200, ideally, you'd request a new PO for only the $200 difference. The next change to be aware of is that fund managers are required to approve subaward and subcontract invoices in BruinBuy Plus. while PIs can approve these invoices directly from a BruinBuy Plus generated email notification, making it simple and quick to complete the task. If PIs wish to go into the system, they can access BruinBuy Plus via the email to get more information about the invoice. Instructions on how to approve subaward and subcontract invoices are covered in Fund Manager and PI training. The method of initiating vendor onboarding has also changed, with the transition to BruinBuy Plus. Campus buyers can now request to onboard a vendor directly in the system during the shopping and requisition process. Additional details are provided in campus buyer training materials. On a related note, vendors who already have been onboarded should submit invoices via email rather than via Transcepta or the old invoice submission portal, which have been decommissioned. Please note that the process for submitting invoices for library collection materials to the UCLA Library will not be impacted by the new BruinBuy Plus invoice submission process, as the library manages invoices through an entirely different system. There's no change to the way invoices are submitted to the UCLA Library, and vendors submitting invoices for library collection materials should continue to submit invoices to their library contacts. Moving on to number 5. Campus buyers who cannot validate their FAU should make sure that their profile permissions are correct in DAX. They should contact their DSAs if any permissions need to be updated. Finally, PANs for PO transactions are being retired and will no longer be reviewed via email. PAN reviewers will access the reporting dashboard in BruinBuy Plus to review transactions. Non-PO transactions as non-payroll expenditure adjustment requests, NPERs, will continue to be reviewed via email notification. To learn more about these changes, please visit the BruinBuy Plus Hub website, linked at the bottom of this slide. Next. Okay, great. This slide shows a variety of resources that are available to you as part of Hypercare. Firstly, the BruinBuy Plus Hub is a one-stop shop webpage that houses quick reference guides, FAQs, and other helpful resources. Training materials for campus buyers, PAN reviewers, fund managers, and principal investigators are available on UCLA's learning management system, Bruin Learn. You can also drop in on BruinBuy Plus office hours to connect with subject matter experts and get your procurement questions answered. To register for office hours, access the link on this slide. Finally, you can contact the help desk via phone or email, or you can open a ticket with your inquiry directly to ServiceNow to get your questions answered by a member of the Hypercare team. All questions that the team receives inform the resources that are continuously built and published on the BruinBuy Plus Hub. Thank you, and on to the next, Bruin Finance. Selena?
Thanks, OT. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Selena Martin. So my goal today is really threefold. I want to refresh your memory on the key components and the timeline of the SUN program. I want to introduce you to the workflow concept and how it's going to change what we do today. And then lastly, I want to share some updates with you on our reporting work groups and our future plans for financial reporting. So let's start with a refresher on the basics before we go further. As you know, SUN 2.0 is the name of our program, where our goal is to transform our financial landscape by implementing these new modern financial systems. So R1, which is release 1, is behind us. It's what our OT just talked about. It's what we've been doing and working on the last 18 months. And it ended on January 2nd when we went live with our new procurement system, which we call BruinBuy Plus. The underlying technology of BruinBuy Plus is a software called Jagger. Okay. Now R2 is primarily ahead of us, although we've been working on it since 2022. The most significant part of R2 is that we're going to go live with our new financial system, which is called Bruin Finance. The underlying technology of Bruin Finance is a software called Oracle Financials Cloud. So hopefully that clarifies how these terminologies that you've been hearing. There are other important aspects of R2. So this includes retrofitting existing UCLA systems to integrate with Bruin Finance. which updates we'll have to make, we'll have to make updates to those systems, including BruinBuy Plus, which we just implemented. Now, a key to making sure that all of this happens successfully is to make sure that we prepare all of campus for these business processes changes that are to come. So many of you have also asked us to remind you and clarify the existing systems that are being replaced by the two new systems, Bruin Finance and BruinBuy Plus. So Bruin Finance is going to replace part or all of the systems on the left-hand side of this slide. So that includes FSQDB, mainframe financial systems, DAX, etc. And then, of course, BruinBuy Plus replaces part or all the systems on the right, which includes Transepta, PAC, and Descartes. So now, we have a large, complex institution, and as a result, we have many systems across UCLA. Let's talk about what this means in the context of our implementation. So in the middle of the slide, you can see Bruin Finance, our future financial system, with all of the other boundary systems feeding into it in the smaller yellow bubbles. BruinBuy Plus is essentially one of these boundary systems, and beginning in R2, will transmit data to and from Bruin Finance. Now, each of these boundary systems on this slide are actively being retrofit to ensure that all the systems integrate seamlessly with Bruin Finance. And finally, please note that this graphic really represents a sample of the systems that are going to be retrofit. It's not an exhaustive list. And if you want to see an exhaustive list, you can click on the link at the bottom of the slide. So this is a high-level timeline of the Ascend 2.0 program. BruinBuy Plus is the yellow section at the top, and then Bruin Finance is the gray section at the bottom. Now, the vertical red line represents where we are today. Right now, our focus is R1 hypercare, which OT talked about. Now, at the same time, we're also preparing for testing phase of Bruin Finance. Now, during this testing phase, the program team is going to perform two types of testing: system integration testing and user acceptance testing, to make sure all the systems are working seamlessly together. Now, testing is scheduled to begin at the end of Q1, sometime around March. Now let's talk about workflow. So I'm sure you've all heard of workflow, but let's just start by defining it here. So basically, workflow is a process of reviewing and approving a transaction or request that's built into a system to route automatically. Some systems already have workflow built in, while others really rely on other methods to ensure transactions and requests are approved by the right individuals. So when we transition to Bruin Finance, workflow is going to be used more widely across systems to do two things. One, to give users access to systems, and two, to approve financial transactions before they're posted to the general ledger. Now, we know that this is a big change for UCLA, but please know that workflow is the leading practice across higher education. Automated built-in workflow enables tighter financial controls by requiring transactions to be approved before they post to the ledger. So let's dig a little deeper into how we're going to use workflow at UCLA. So let's talk about how R2 will change the way that we provision system access in the future. So today, for many systems, the way access is granted involves your DSAs, your department system admins, to provision user access directly in a security system called DAX. In the future, DAX is no longer going to be used to grant system access the way that it is today. So how is it going to work in the future? So if you look at this diagram, each arrow represents workflow. Here you can see that the process begins when a manager or supervisor identifies the need for a staff member to get access to a system. The manager or supervisor then contacts the DSA, and the DSA is going to submit an access request form to request access for that staff member. Now, right above this DSA box, DSA graphic, you'll see a small box. And that's just to acknowledge that there might be some additional verifications that may be needed in order for that individual to gain access. So for example, they might need to complete a specific training. Now, this secondary workflow would verify this requirement. and generate a notification that the user needs to do a certain task, such as complete training. So the third step in this process is that the CAO, CFO will review and approve the request. And then the request form routes to the central security group who will provision the access. Lastly, let me just say that for systems that do not use DAX today, they will continue to follow their current processes for provisioning system access. So as I mentioned before, another important way that we're going to use workflow in the future is for upfront transaction approval. So today, many systems rely on this post-authorization notifications. You might know it as PANs as an internal control. This means that transactions are actually posted to the GL, and then after the fact, we review and confirm if they're correct. In the future, we're going to require review and approval of most transactions before they post to the general ledger. There are some exceptions, and we can share them with you later. And lastly, if you're the owner of one of the boundary systems that we talked about earlier, please know that the financial transactions will need to be approved within each boundary system before they're sent to the GL. Okay, so now let's move on to my last topic. There are two reporting work groups that have been working together for the last 9 months. I'm sure you recall from our earlier town halls. One is the campus reporting work group. The other is the research reporting subcommittee. Now they're made up of representatives across various departments across campus. Their objective is to identify, prioritize, design, build, and test reports that are going to be available once Bruin Finance goes live in R2. So these two campus groups have been collaborating with two project teams within the Ascend 2.0 program. The first team is the Financial Reporting Business Analytics team, and the second is the Ascend 2.0 Grants team. So the two work groups are going to continue to be engaged through this next year, through 2024, because they still have to finalize the design of the reports, build and test the reports, and share them with campus. So you might be wondering, when are you going to hear more about this effort? As the report prototypes are further refined, the project team is going to engage broader groups of campus stakeholders to test the reports, so you may be involved there. Also, beginning this summer, the team's going to have some road shows to showcase the reports to campus. And you'll hear more about signing up for those road shows. Now, the work that all these groups are doing, it's going to continue after go live to make sure that we refine and improve the existing reports, the existing initial suite of reports, and build new reports as needed by campus. Now let's shift gears to talk about the actual structure of reporting in the future. So let's look at the first horizontal swim lane on this slide. You can see in the data sources section that after go live, we will have data in both Oracle and non-Oracle systems. All of this data is going to be combined in one central location called a Financial Integration Hub, or FIH. Now, FIH is going to be our reporting one-stop shop so that campus users can get their various reports and dashboards all in the same place. Let's talk about the other two swim lanes. So users will be able to use Oracle EPM tools for their reporting needs related to planning and budgeting. They'll also be able to use Oracle Financials to build transactions using data directly from the financial system. So the Financial Integration Hub is really a critical piece to modernizing our reporting and business analytics landscape. This one-stop shop, it's going to streamline access and serve as a single source of truth from which a variety of data can be pulled into reports. Users of the FIH will also be able to customize reports to meet their unique needs using the self-service functionality offered by FIH. As I mentioned earlier, we can't stress enough that this reporting effort does not end when Bruin Finance goes live. The program team is going to continue to gather user feedback to develop new reports as needs arise. So I know this was a lot. Rest assured, we don't expect you to understand what all of this means right now. Just know that the program teams are working hard, and our goal is to share the right information with the right people at the right time in a user-friendly way. So thank you, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Marcia Smith to talk about research financial reporting.
Thank you, Selena. I'm Marcia Smith. I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor for Research Administration here at UCLA. Members of our Central Research Administration team have been focused on implementing the best possible functionality to support research financial management. The system supports us from the time of award setup through closeout. And I also want to thank members of the research community who have participated and contributed to this effort to date. There are additional volunteer opportunities available, so we hope you will get in touch with us if you're dying to participate. We are committed to making this transition as smooth as possible and to providing appropriate communication and support along the way. I'm here to introduce Yoon Lee, who will present on the future of research reporting. Yoon.
Okay, thank you, Marcia. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yoon Lee, Senior Director of EFM and a Program Owner of the Ascent 2.0. Today, I will introduce one of the key reports that we call Financial Report Suite, which is a collection of various reports that will support the management of the sponsored project. The user can run this financial report suite in FIH that Selena just mentioned earlier as a whole packet, or the user can run any of these reports individually as well. So here are a couple of benefits the financial report suite will bring. First, it will be a standard report that will replace the various tools and the reports that are currently used across the campus for monthly reconciliation. And the user can generate these reports for a specific award or project, or multiple awards and multiple projects for the PI level, including not only the sponsored project, but also including non-sponsor funding sources as well. So this report can help to provide a holistic financial picture across the all funding sources for the PI. Another benefit is that essentially these same reports can be used for the monthly reconciliation as well as a closeout packet. So process of the closing the award at the end of the project will become more seamless process. So 5 key reports in the financial report suite are listed on the right side here in yellow box as a spotlight reports. And then these are the reports we will go over in the coming slides. So the first report that we are going to go over is the award and project report. This report will provide a financial overview of the award or project in PPM, showing the budget, revenue, expense, and the balance, as well as a key demographic information about the award, such as a project period or budget period. Fund managers will use this report to get a quick financial overview of an individual award or project, or they can run a report for all awards of the PIs that they are responsible for all at once. And then this can be also a great report if a CAO or a CFO management person would like to see the financial status of the all awards in the department at a quick glance. So today's equivalent reports to this report are online financial system, OFSR, the fund summary report, or the appropriation and financial report in the Rapid tool. One of the benefits of this report is that as it is the part of the financial report suite, it's connected with other reports, and the user can drill down to other detailed reports from this summary award and project report. Next report is the expense transaction reports. This report will be used to review expense transactions on the specific award or project. The user can run a summary report, expense summary report that groups expense by the expenditure category, or the user can also run a detailed report that will show all individual expense transactions charged to the specific award or the project. So these are like today's OFSR Online Financial System Report, expenditure sub-project summary report, or detailed general ledger report. Or you can think of this as the summary by stock report, NGL, open, close the transaction report in the Rapid tool as well. So these report will help fund managers review and analyze expenses against the budget. And the user can also drill down to detail level transactions from the summary report. And then next report is the payroll report. Payrolls are the major type of expenses charged to the sponsor project. So the financial report suite will definitely include the payroll reports. It will have a detailed payroll data, like what DOC reports has today, including gross earnings, benefits, on date, accounting date, and so on, so that the fund managers can review all necessary information in one place, and then confirm that all payroll charged to the award and project are allowable, allocable, and reasonable. So it will also offer multiple standardized parameters to launch the report at the award or project or PI or the employee level. Moving on to the next report, which is a sub-agreement and independent contractor activity report. It's a little, long name. This is something that is not readily available today. This report will show all the POs and amendment issues per subawardee or contractor, as well as all the invoices that we receive from the subawardee or contractor. So this will enable the fund managers to view the budget and expenses easily per subawardee, even if the award or project have multiple subawards or contractor. So this will help out the fund managers to monitor spending against the budget per subaward. It also allows the user to drill down into the invoice level detail data that are available in the BruinBuy Plus system from the expense transaction recorded in the Oracle PPM subledger, which is really nice because the user does not have to log into two different systems to get the data they need. So they will be able to see the necessary information to review subaward and then contractor activities in this one report. And lastly, the closeout packet. Essentially, the same financial report suite that is run for a specific award will become a closeout packet for that award. So the closeout packet will include the key reports that we went over in previous slides, and then it will also include additional reports that are applicable to that specific award. The examples can be, cost share or program income, or if the award is subject to UCLA Policy 913, there will be additional reports included in the closeout packet to address those items in addition to the key reports that we went over. And this will replace today's rapid closeout packet. And then this closeout packet will continue to be used as a vehicle for the department and then EFM to communicate and then confirm the final expenditure to report to the sponsor. And then the closeout packet will also highlight certain expenses that require additional review and documentation, like how it does today. So For example, like expenses that are posted outside performance period, that can be a good example. So highlighting those things in the close-up packet will assist more, more efficient final expenditure review process. We recognize that robust reporting will be really essential to support the research community after go live. So we will continue to provide updates on this topic in the future. And then with that, this is all I have for today for research. I would like to thank you all very much for your interest and support to the project and then joining today's town hall. Now, we'll pass it to my colleague, Jennifer Perry, to go over the next topic.
Thank you so much, Yoon, and thank you for joining us today for our town hall. As we move forward, there are a number of ways that you can get involved and stay informed. You can see here as it relates to our town hall. We do have that today, and our next one will be scheduled in the near future that you can check on our Ascend 2.0 website. But relative to today, we'll also be conducting a survey to ensure that we're meeting your needs and providing the information you're looking forward to seeing. In addition, I encourage that you join us for our BruinBuy Plus office hours. It was exciting to see that we had over 300 that joined us just last week alone. So it's a great place to get your questions answered. In addition, over on the right-hand side, you can also see that we have our Ascend 2.0 website that we regularly update to ensure that you're kept informed. There's a monthly newsletter that's available to you, and all of our events are recorded and they're available on our YouTube channel. So please join us. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mark DeMeo, who will be facilitating our Q&A.
Thanks, Jennifer. Yes, let's jump right into Q&A. We've got a number of questions that are out there, so I'm just going to start taking them here as we get them. Gregory, thanks for the question. Do we still contact travel accounting to check invoice status of catering POs that migrated to BruinBuy Plus?
Invoice status can be checked in BruinBuy Plus. If it was processed in BruinBuy, you should be able to see it in BruinBuy Plus.
But if the question was if it was migrated, correct? Do you still? So it depends on the type of transaction. So it still may be with travel accounting for some sort of review before payment. But you should be able to see it in BruinBuy Plus if it has been migrated into the system, and then you'll see who has it.
Okay. There's several questions here, OT, about invoice backlog and delinquent invoices. So I'm just going to sort of group them together in terms of who can and how does the team reach out to about these delinquent invoices, and also what is the process to be able to review these?
Right. So first, you should check in the system for the transaction to see if an invoice is there for the PO. If not, you can send a ticket into Hypercare with the PO number and the invoice number, and AP will get it to be able to check. There was a question also about not seeing the invoice once it's been uploaded. The invoices do not appear right away because it does go through a system check looking to ensure that there's a PO number and other items that are needed for the invoice to be paid. Also to see if it's a duplicate invoice as well. So that goes through a triage, and then it'll then be ingested into the system. Understand that roughly 2,500 or so invoices come in per day, and right now AP is processing for payment roughly about 1,800 invoices per day. And I believe right now they are processing invoices that are at the end of November, beginning of December. For 3 weeks over the winter closure, AP had no access into the old BruinBuy, and the new BruinBuy wasn't open until January 2nd. So they're trying to get those invoices, which I know everyone's concerned about, paid.
Thanks, OT. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Kathy, thank you for a question. There's about 4 questions here, so I'm going to sort of take them and kind of go through them. So first question is, can we review transactions directly in BruinBuy Plus to satisfy the review process? And I think this is around pan reviews.
Can you repeat that, Mark?
Sure. Can we review transactions directly in BruinBuy Plus to satisfy the review process? And do we have to review the requisitions only, or can we review the transaction again when it becomes a PO?
So the policy is to the T and I were talking about this earlier, post award notification, and OT feel free to chime in, but as long as you're logging in per policy within 2 days, every 2 days, and reviewing the purchase orders, I believe that fulfills the requirements. It sounds like there's some confusion about like actually approving. There's no actual approvals right now with R1 for PANs, and there's no actual notifications. It's self-led where you log in and you go to your reporting dashboard, and from there you find the transactions you want to review, be it requisitions, purchase orders, or invoices. Once you click into either one of those buckets, you can then drill down even further for a more specific, refined search for those transactions.
Thank you, Janelle. Mark, thanks for the question. Beyond viewing exported PO reports, how do we confirm PAN reviewers are completely reviewing timely?
Yeah, again, it's on the pan reviews to go in every 2 days. Audit does have access to it. I believe they run a report to check on pan reviewer access and their reviews. So for right now, that's how that's being monitored.
Thanks, OT. Also, we have a question from Bach Lee. Is coffee an allowable item to be purchased for a department?
Coffee?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okie doke.
It depends on the funding source, I would like to add.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Check the restrictions on your grants or contracts. Thanks.
If I could
Okay.
just mention, Mark, there was an email, this is regarding PAN reviewers. There was an email that came out this morning from the program team to PAN reviewers with some additional resources, including a quick reference guide on how to use that dashboard.
Thank you, Selena. In fact, that was the next question that was about to come up. Is there a quick reference guide? So yes, there is. And then also that will be posted on the BruinBuy Plus hub as well. So and if anybody can't find it, please reach out to us and we'll make sure that you get it. Another question comes in. Would you be able to confirm from Susan? Would you be able to confirm if the contract spent maximum allowed numbers are accurate? I noticed that amounts listed for our household goods are over 100,000, which is higher than the release amounts. I know this is kind of a specific one, but
Yeah, no, they're accurate. The reason it's set at 100,000 is workflow rules come into place. So if you're transacting against a CCT contract under 100K, they'll go straight through because it's within our policy and that fund or that dollar threshold. If it's over 100K, it will stop with the commodity manager of that contract for review.
okay, thanks. Another question that comes in: a department user is trying to submit a service PO, but is getting the error the date specified must be in the future. Most of their POs have service date starts in the past. How should they proceed?
Just fulfill the requirement, and then in the internal comments or the internal notes section, please put the true dates of that service.
Okay, thank you. How can we obtain check details to see when a paper check has been deposited?
Deposited by the vendor. I'm trying to, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Again,
Yeah.
let's come back to that one, or maybe the person can put some details in there or some follow up. We'll look at that.
If they want to see if it's been paid by us, they can go into BruinBuy, click on it, see the transaction, and see if an invoice has been paid.
Yeah, if this is knowing whether a paper check has been deposited or not, that's, I think, if I'm reading this correctly, that's on the vendor side. I don't think we have the ability to see that. Francisco asks, can individual roles be added to individuals in BruinBuy Plus? Some buyers cannot see all POs in a department due to not having certain assigned roles.
I would say you'll connect with your DSA to be sure that you have those departments or roles tied to your DAX account.
Christina asks, wanted to ask if we could hold a training session for creating declining balance POs. Could help many of us as to how to do this since B blanket orders did not migrate and we are having to create them in BruinBuy Plus. Would that be possible? Thank you.
Sure.
Sounds like a good office hours topic, for a session potentially, right?
Totally. I agree.
Okay, we will move that forward. Michael, additionally, a Med Center user is trying to submit an item that requires an after the fact form. They have about 70 to 100 invoices that will need this for the new system. They're being told that they need their dean's signature. Who would the equivalent appropriate approver be on the Med Center side since they don't have a dean? They go to your answer on this one.
Yeah, I was just typing in an answer. So they can get the CFO, their vice chancellor will suffice, but the CFO will suffice for that.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Stephanie asks, will the shipping payment form be updated? For many of us who receive multiple invoices, creating a shipping request for each single invoice is tedious. Can we create one PO to pay for several FedEx invoices?
Fortunately, it's one invoice per PO. If you create a declining balance PO, however, it can support it that way.
Thanks.
But
Molly asks, what initiatives are being taken to correct migrated POs with errors? Are departments expected to track and correct and resubmit all these POs? What if this defaults our contracts to an after the fact?
Molly, I think I would ask for some specifics if
yeah,
you
let's say what
wouldn't
type of
mind.
errors, yeah.
Yeah.
And Molly, if you would, why don't you submit a ticket in and that'll show up on our dailies so we can take a look at it, okay? Where are the fund managers supposed to approve the invoices in BruinBuy Plus? Invoices were mailed as instructed. We opened a ticket and they were told to do receiving and submit the invoice with PIs. Where do we submit the signed invoice?
Mhm.
So there are two things I can quickly talk to this. So we recognized when we went live with BruinBuy Plus that migrated POs against subawards and subcontracts, when the invoices were coming in against them, they weren't hitting the automated workflow for them to route directly to the fund manager or PIs for approval. So AP was reaching out on those invoices asking for the signature, and I believe they were being uploaded. You can add it as an attachment, but now we have fixed that. So as of last week, any invoices that are in will hit those automated workflow steps to eliminate the need of that signature. So sorry for the confusion.
Thanks, Janelle. Why does the system block us from using certain object codes? We buy lab chemicals all the time, but when we enter the FAU, the system codes it as medical supplies and we can't overwrite it.
Brenda, if you're willing to send in a ticket,
Gotta
so
say,
with an exact example, we can
We'll
go
work
ahead,
it.
OT. Yeah.
So Kathy submits a question. Can we develop a process to assist our clinical operations and clinical trials research where they can create a PO for the vendor, but invoices are paid on variable FAUs based on usage? Not having this option has been hindering our operations that are critical for patient care.
Hi, Kathy. I think we met about this. We did talk, I think, about exploring once we kind of stabilize some opportunities around the declining balance gaps we're finding. So to come.
Yeah.
So
Migrated.
I was going to say, I think that, we probably should have Kathy log a ticket just so we have this on the radar that if we have to get the technical teams engaged, they're aware of it. because it does sound like it's a declining balance issue.
Okay, thanks. Um, for migrated POs that were set up with more than one line, how do we do receiving if the invoice is for one full amount and isn't split?
I'm not so sure we may have to take this one away.
Okay. Juan writes, thank you for the question here. I have many POs that were submitted on Bruin by Sunset going back to September that state complete, but no check information is provided. Many vendors have claimed they haven't been paid. All of these invoices haven't migrated into Bruin Plus and were P cases. How can I verify if these invoices need to be processed again?
So POs submitted in BruinBuy, but no check information is provided, I'm assuming in BruinBuy. Many vendors have claimed they
So I think what we need there is we need to have invoice numbers for them. So if they're POs, the PO went out to the vendor and they're saying that they've not been paid, we need to make sure that we actually receive the invoices. So if you have invoice numbers for these POs, that would help.
So Marlo submits, a colleague and I followed the CCT contract instructions when creating a new rec for a Canon PO, but we were unable to do the last steps of actually adding in the agreement. Is this a known issue or something we need to open a ticket to investigate further for?
It's a tricky last step. If you open a ticket, then we can have someone work with you directly to show you how to assign that number.
So Timothy asks, the widgets for me on the homepage always show campus-wide information. Is there a way to limit the widgets to show me data for only my department? I know this can be done by clicking the widget and then pinning the filter, but that doesn't affect the widgets in my homepage.
I believe this, Timothy, is because you are a PAN reviewer. And if you pin all of your filters that you want to always see, and then you hit save as and you save that report, then it will always be able to be shown just what you want to see. And to further this, I know OT and I were talking earlier, and there's so much talk around PAN. I think we are looking to host like a live demo or something to help everyone.
Nancy asks, for international vendors, will we still have to fill out a wire transfer form, or is it international payment going to be processed automatically?
The current process still exists. So you would still have to, I believe it's a ServiceNow ticket that you would still have to complete.
Okay. Alexa asks, where can we view a list of invoices on H&I, formerly located on the Problem Invoices tab? Are or are holds no longer being utilized?
So the question, if they are invoices on H&I from legacy BruinBuy, so the old system, there is a process that's in place. There's actually a H&I office hours this week on Thursday, specifically for invoices from the legacy system. In the new system, it would fall under what's match exceptions. So when you go and look at the transaction, you should see what the issue is with that invoice in BruinBuy Plus. But there right now, there's two separate exercises undergoing.
Also in the chat, the office hours web location is there, so if people want to take that, copy it. When you have to override the email for requisitions on BB Plus, do you also have to set override distribution to yes, or is it just inputting an override email enough?
You have to click yes to the override distribution. That triggers the workflow step for it to make that change.
So Brenda asks, we submitted subcontract invoices. When we checked the system, AP rep sent an email to the campus purchasing to do, whoops, sorry. Question came in. I just lost it for a second. Submitted contract invoices. When we checked the systems, AP rep sent an email to the campus purchasing to do receiving instead of the department. Should fund managers expect to receive emails from campus purchasing to do receiving?
So the receiving step that hits invoices against subcontracts and subawards can be completed by anyone, but the notification will get sent to the individual who created that PO.
Thank you. Jacqueline asked the question, I've submitted invoices to no reply at invoices.ucla.edu and have not seen an upload to BruinBuy Plus. OT, I think you wanted to answer this.
Yeah, that's what I answered a little earlier that invoices are not ingested right away. It goes through a review process, a system review process to ensure there's a PO number, remittance addresses, all those things are there. The lines match the PO, all that happens, and then it goes through for a review. So it'll be a couple of days before it actually hits in the system.
Thank you, sir. I was informed by purchasing that requisition submissions will take about 10 to 15 days to get to, depending on the complexity. I submitted 3 replacement requisitions on the 12th that are still with CRU. How quickly will this move from CRU through the last 2 steps? Considering these already have established POs, shouldn't these move more quickly through the process?
Yeah, we want them to. So CRU is a unit that's outside of procurement. So, when transactions go in and out of procurement, we don't have a lot of control over how long it'll take for their reviews. But we're working with them to provide better visibility for them within the tool so that those can move through a little bit quicker. But the complexity, when we say complexity, if it has to go to crew, if it has to go to legal or IT, that adds additional complexity, which makes the transaction take a little bit longer. So that's why they give you that 10 to 15 days. It could take 5. I mean, if everybody can get in and review quickly, it could take 3, it could take 2. But we want to ensure that everyone understands the time frame given these transactions hit multiple units.
Hey, I need the PO to be sent to a different email address than the point of contact in BruinBuy Plus. How do we add a new vendor contact into a rec so the PO gets sent to them? I don't want to change the email address on file. I just need the PO to be sent to the sales rep I am in contact with directly.
Sure, you would, when you're completing your requisition under the general section, it asks if you want to override the distribution. You would just select yes, and then below it, it asks for the email address you want that PO to be sent to.
Very good. Thanks, Janelle. So there was a whole bunch of questions here on declining balance POs. One thing I might suggest is that again we set up an office hours topic for that. And again, I'm just thinking from a timing perspective. We got about 5 minutes, and there's about 20 declining balance questions. I might suggest that we have a focus session on that to make sure we get all questions answered. Let's see. How do we add documents to a requisition that has been submitted and pending with purchasing? The only method I found was to withdraw the requisitions, and then I had to recreate the requisition and submit a new one.
You can do that. That's the most painful way, and I'm sorry you did that. But if you pull up your requisition, there's an attachments tab, and you can just continue to add attachments, and then your requisition will stay in whatever workflow step it's in. So if it's with purchasing, it will stay there instead of having to resubmit through a workflow.
When we submit a request to enroll a new vendor, do we get any notification once the vendor is onboarded?
So the department should see the status of where the vendor is, and you should be able to see where the vendor's onboarded. But you also, if you're not receiving emails or communication around that, let me know. I'll make sure vendor management sends out a communication to educate campus on how to see that. But that should be available to campus.
Thanks, OT. So it was mentioned to one of the team that there is a way to create an order for repetitive use that does not encumber funds, i.e. replaces local blankets. We have a lot of agreements that distribute funds, which we do not want to encumber, and at the same time, don't want to submit recs on a regular basis.
That's news to me.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Unfortunately, an FAU is required. You can tell the FAU under account effective date, you can postpone the encumbrance by selecting the date in that field. That will just postpone the encumbrance, but an FAU is required for all transactions.
Okay, thanks. Jenny has a question for after the fact power form. Is this routed to your dean or do you have to download and send through DocuSign? I sent one to our assistant dean and I don't know who gets it for my PO to get processed in BruinBuy Plus.
So yeah, you don't have to download anything. It'll route automatically. And once it's completed, you'll get the completed DocuSign form that you can then apply to the requisition. So the only thing the department has to do is add who in their department, whether it's the dean, CFO, vice chancellor, needs to see it and sign it.
Okay. Judy asks, how do we get a new PO for services needed since January 1st, 2024?
You would create a purchase requisition, purchase request.
I think it's similar to what you answered before, Janelle, where then in the comment in the notes field they could put in that the service was prior.
Oh,
Right.
the backdated one.
Exactly.
Yes.
Hey, Christina asked, research question. We were told human subject research payments, check requests for research study participation are supposed to go through BruinBuy, and each human subject needs to register as a vendor. This will not work for our study as the study population includes folks with certain diseases and older adults. Many do not have email or are not computer literate. What other method can be used to request checks for these participants?
We're working with payment solutions to solve that. So I think what we would need to do is meet with you to understand, what's needed for this, and then we will have a solution.
We were told to submit any rush payment request to help@itucla.edu. I submitted a rush request, but it was returned to me and my ticket was closed. I was provided with links to the travel website, but I don't see where to submit my request. It looks like it's mostly for T&E cards, but this is for an invoice.
One more time, Mark.
We were told to submit any rush payment request. This looks like a travel request to help@it.ucla.edu. I submitted a rush request, but it was returned to me and my ticket was closed. I was provided with links to the travel website, but I don't see where to submit my request. It looks like it's mostly for T&E cards, but this is for an invoice.
If it's to pay an invoice, you make sure they put that it's a rush request in the subject line, the invoice number, and then the details of what the payment's for. So that should have routed to AP and probably travel just to confirm, but it should have routed for payment.
Okay, very good. Let's see. We are at time right now, and we have a whole bunch of questions. I think what I would suggest is on some of these again, we said we would take a follow up. Declining balances, we need to put a focus session together. PAN reviewers, same. Also, we'll be capturing all of these questions. We will try to get answers back onto the Ascend 2.0 website for these. but we really appreciate all the questions. As always, if you have a specific purchase order or a specific issue, please submit a ticket to the service center. And that is the best way for us to monitor and track it and make sure that you're all of your issues are handled and any questions that come up get answered.